I've made a lot of mistakes over the years while learning guitar. In this lesson, I want to tell you what they are in hopes that you can avoid making them too. So let's just jump into mistake number 1. Not having a good guitar teacher. Now, I have had multiple good guitar teachers over the years, but there have been other times where I either haven't had a guitar teacher or I haven't had a good one. And good guitar teachers are really valuable because they give you direction and feedback. And without direction and feedback, you can spend lots of time practicing either the wrong thing or practicing the right things in the wrong way. Now, I do realize not everyone can afford to get a good guitar teacher, or maybe you live in an area where there aren't many around, although with Skype and different things you can usually find them somewhere, even if they don't live in the same country as you. But I do understand that not everyone can afford one. But if you can afford one, if you do have access to one, it'll save you years of time in your learning. Number 2, not learning how to read and write music. Now, you don't have to be able to read and write music to be a great guitarist. There's guitarists like Jimi Hendrix and others who couldn't read and write music, but were some of the best guitarists of all time. But music is a language, and just like any language, it's much easier to learn and communicate if you can read and write it. Being able to read music allows you to look at any written piece of music and know what it sounds like before you even hear it. And if you're working with other musicians, especially if you're at a higher level, that's crucial. You have to be able to do that. And then being able to write music allows you to share your ideas and communicate with other musicians much easier. And this is something that I wish I really focused on more through the years as I've been learning guitar. And again, it's something I should focus on more now because it makes a huge difference. Number 3, not transcribing or learning enough songs by ear. Transcribing music is when you listen to a piece of music and write it down. So obviously this relates to number 2, you have to be able to read and write music to be able to transcribe it. So transcribing is a great way to quickly learn new music and to learn new stuff in music. You can easily learn new rhythms, new ideas, and it can make a huge difference in your playing. Learning songs by ear is different. You just learn the songs by ear and then you play them on your guitar. So you're not actually having to write it down. You don't have to know how to write music to be able to learn by the ear. A lot of the great guitarists throughout history, that's how they learned. They just listened to old records and they learned how to play it on their guitar. They didn't necessarily know how to write it down, but they could hear it and they would play and play and play until they found it on the guitar, and then they would play it back and memorize it. And the more you do that, the better you get at it. But whether you're transcribing or just learning by ear, it's an invaluable thing to do. And learning stuff online, learning from videos on YouTube or looking at tab is a great resource that we have these days. We can find almost anything, but it also can cause us not to listen as deeply and to just look at what people are playing by watching their hands or just listening to what they're saying that they're playing, or just looking at tab and then just thinking that's right. But when you really take the time to listen deeply, it makes all the difference in what you're able to do on the guitar and who you're able to play with. Number 4, not learning enough songs. For some reason over the years, I've never been big on learning a bunch of songs. I was more into just learning parts of songs and then taking and running and making my own song from that, which is a really good thing, and I think it helped me find my voice quicker, but it can also hinder you. When you learn tons of different songs from different artists and different styles, you have an endless pool of stuff that you can draw from, which then gives you endless possibilities for songs that you write or for playing with other musicians. It's just really invaluable to learn lots of different songs. And the wider pool of musicians or styles that you draw from help you to find your voice quicker because you have more to draw from and you don't just sound like a clone of any one artist or any one style. So I really wish I would have spent more time learning more songs over the years. Number 5, not writing or finishing enough songs. I think writing songs is one of the best ways not only for learning guitar, but to help you find your voice. It forces you to try and come up with stuff that you like, and then it makes you go and find the artists that you like, listen to what they're doing, steal from them the things you like, discard the stuff you don't like, and it just forces you to really push yourself out of your boundaries. And I've fallen into the trap over the years of having long periods of time where I don't write any music, where I'm not pushing myself to, or where I just start and stop songs, where I'll just write a little part of a song but never finish the other sections. I recommend making writing songs a habit. Even if you throw away 99.9% of what you write, it'll push you past what you're currently capable of and help you find sounds and ideas that you wouldn't find normally. Number 6, not listening to a wide variety of music. When I was first really getting into guitar and trying to take my playing to the next level, my main influences were John Mayer and Dave Matthews. I liked other musicians, but those are two that were really big influences on me and that I listened to the most. Now, I think they're good influences. I think they are amazing musicians, but I fell into the trap where I was starting to sound like clones of them. And it was really obvious that you could hear their influences in my playing. But once I finally opened up my ears to a lot wider variety of music and artists and styles, that's when my playing really opened up and was brought to a whole new level. And that's because I was drawing from a larger pool and combining it all together and using that to find my own voice. Number 7, not playing with musicians better than me. This is a big one. If you're always the best musician in your band or in the situations you're playing in, you're not going to improve. And in fact, if you're a lot better than the other musicians you're playing with, they're usually going to drag you down to their level. The best way to improve is to play with musicians who make you feel bad about yourself, that make you really want to push yourself to be able to hang with them. And this is something I was really guilty of, and it really slowed down my progress. I should have been seeking out those who are a lot better than me and trying to play with them, especially in live situations where it's sink or swim. As musicians, a lot of time we get fear and ego involved, and then we pull back from that and we end up being the best musician in a playing situation or in a band so that we don't feel bad about ourselves. But if you really focus on pushing yourself and playing with people better than you, your growth will happen so much quicker. Number 8, practicing too many hours every day. Now you may wonder how you can practice too many hours, but there have been times where I've practiced probably 5 or 6 hours a day and probably wasted most of that time, probably wasted 5 hours of the 6 hours. And the main reason is that I didn't have a good teacher giving me direction and focus like I talked about earlier in this lesson, or I was just focused on way too many things at once, which I fall into the trap of even now. I want to learn so many different things that I just keep adding into my practice routine new things to learn. And because of that, I just end up skimming over the surface of a bunch of stuff instead of really going deep on a few really important things. So don't get locked into the trap of thinking that practicing more hours is going to make you better. Sometimes it's important, other times you're wasting time. Number 9, focusing on too many things at one time. This goes right back to the last one, number 8, where I said that I would just keep adding stuff into my practice routine because I wanted to learn so many different things. But again, like I said, when you do that, you just skim over the surface of those things. You're not going deep on any one or two things. There's a famous quote from Bruce Lee. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. The best musicians don't do 1,000 things poorly. The best musicians have mastered a handful of things and really exploit those things, really go deep into them. And when you master one thing, it pours into everything else you're doing. So don't get locked into the trap like I have over the years of skimming over the surface of a bunch of things and thinking that I'm learning. Really go deep on a few things and it'll spill into everything else you do. And finally, number 10, not focusing more on rhythm and time. This is a big one. A lot of guitarists have really bad rhythm and time. And that's because it's easy to do cool sounding stuff on the guitar without having good rhythm and time. It's not like being the bassist or the drummer who have to keep really good time, and it's really obvious when they're not. A guitarist can get away with a lot, especially to an untrained ear. But rhythm is the most important element in music, so it should be something we focus on a lot. And I had good rhythm in some ways. Rhythm came fairly naturally to me. As far as like being able to strum more advanced strumming patterns, I was able to pick those up fairly quickly and learn them by ear, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't break it down. I couldn't say I'm playing this rhythm or the beat's right here and always knowing where the beat is. Also, when I took a lesson with a top-notch jazz musician, when I was improvising, he pointed out that I was really rushing, which a lot of guitarists do, that I was pushing ahead of the beat constantly. I care a lot about rhythm now and even spent over a year working just with a drummer so that I can improve my rhythm and understand rhythm at a deeper level and get better at counting. And we didn't even work on the drum set. I just worked on a practice pad and I worked on counting and being able to tap my foot at quarter notes while I did other stuff with my hands and gain that independence. That's another thing that drummers are really good at. They have a lot of independence with all their limbs, and guitarists usually don't. A lot of guitarists can't even tap their foot while they play something. But rhythm makes all the difference. It's a very primal thing for humans, and it's something that we're usually strongly drawn to. And a lot of times if someone has bad rhythm, it may feel off to someone with an untrained ear and they don't even know why. Or they may be drawn to something just because of the rhythm and not realize that's what it is. You can play amazingly fast or play the most exotic scales or play over changes, but if you don't have good time and rhythm, it really doesn't matter. It's better to play something simple with an amazing rhythm than to play something complicated and have your time be off. So focusing more on time and rhythm is something that I wish that I had learned earlier and focused on more early on, and I need to do it even more now. And I highly recommend you do the same if you want to take your playing to the next level. So those are 10 mistakes to avoid on the guitar. Let me know in the comments if you've made any of these, and also be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and keep moving forward.